What's up, everybody? Nolan with Black Diamond Services. I'm out doing some porcelain countertops. Got some paint overspray on them. It's kind of hard to see, but there's some right here that's overspray, and then of course the drop spots here. So with this, you can usually just get it right off the surface because it's basically just on the tile. And then for the rest of it, I'm going to be using a stripping agent because some of it is slightly in the grout, like right here. You can't really razor blade that because you run the risk of damaging the grout. So I can only really scrape this tile area. And the stripping agent should help get rid of it in the other areas, but this is going to be one of the most efficient ways to do it for globs that have gotten on the surface. So, see, in that 50 seconds of time that I've been talking, it's already off in that area. Let's see, there's just barely anything on the surface here. So you get this off first, and the rest of the job should be easier. So nothing else really on the rest of it as far as needing the razor blade. So next step, I'll apply some of the stripping agent so I can get it off the little bits off the grout, flush that, and go to the next step. I'll be doing the edges separately. Always work on the tops first, and then I'll work on the edges afterwards. These bowl noses, I use two different tools. I use a spinner, small spinner tool for the tops, and then a single jet tool to get these edges on the sides here. As you can see, they are pretty dirty, and this is the side of the counter that didn't get used as much because it was a little more built up over there, and of course over here where the stove was sitting. Spinner countertop tool for the majority of it, and then I'll switch to the single jet that I was talking about. This client opted to have clean and seal of the grout. So once I'm done cleaning it, let it dry out, and then apply the sealer to the grout. It's a man-made tile, porcelain, so it's not going to absorb sealer on the surface, only in the grout joints. Pick up a little excess of the moisture before I move over to the next side. Like I said, I'm coming back to these edges. So look how much nicer that looks, just clean. And the grout, it's hard to tell in the video, but the grout's a little lighter. It's a kind of a lightish brown. And it'll probably lighten up a little bit more once it dries. I do the same thing around the edges of the sink too. Use the other tool to get those spots. So that wet look is going to disappear, so it won't be as reflective, just so that way you're not getting the wrong impression of this. Once it dries out, it'll be back to its normal state, and then I'll put the sealer in the grout. Alright, so it's almost dry, just a little bit on the surface here that I could wipe down. But I wanted to show you guys the end result. So it's kind of hard to tell the grout color here, what it actually looks like in person. Not the best of lighting right now, as the sun is right above the house and not coming through these windows much. But it is a light brown, old porcelain tile, 20-ish years old. And you can see where it's still slightly damp right here, so it looks a little darker. And then you come up a little further and it's lighter in color, so it's still got some moisture there. And it's going to do the same thing once I seal it until it dries out. And there are areas that are going to take longer than others. For example, this little spot right here where there's some like little pinhole missing grout, that always tends to take longer to dry because it can soak further down. So same idea over here. It looks lighter and then darker and then lighter, then darker. It's drying out in certain areas and not completely dry in others, so it appears darker. So we got another spot here where there's some missing grout, and then there was another one right here, old grout. You can see it's loose inside there. It's kind of hard to see. There we go. But this is 20 plus years old, and so it's wearing out, and there's dirt on it, and so it was hiding it. As soon as you cleaned it, it reveals it. So you got to watch out for those things and set the expectations for the client before you start, so they are aware of the risks and what can commonly happen when you're professionally cleaning the countertops. If there's any weak areas or dirt is covering a hole, you get the dirt out of those pits and it reveals the issues. We got a little bit right here, and it's all on the edges. The edges are definitely going to be one of the areas that it gets damaged first or wears. See, edge over to the right where I just showed. A little bit on that edge, and down at the below here, you got missing grout. So it's mostly on these areas where it swoops down, little bull nose, or what you like to call it, especially in corners like this. But otherwise it cleaned, and it'll be sealed, and it'll be very much usable. So just these small 3 areas to hold them over until they can remodel the kitchen, because they're doing all types of stuff in the house right now. So this is still completely usable and passable for now until they can upgrade. So thank you so much for watching. One last final quick look directly after sealing it. So remember, if you're having your tile cleaned, it's this type. It's not going to be this reflective once it dries, because there's a little bit of sealer on the top, and it's going to flash off once it dries, the stuff that we use. So you're not going to see these big reflections that, in my opinion, look nice. It is going to go back to its normal appearance. So there will not be a big reflection like this. There are ways to make that happen, but I don't prefer to use them, an enhancer sealer, just because Sometimes those could be troubling to get off when you go to professionally clean it again. But otherwise, this entire surface does look way better.